That girl was with child. That shapeless fetus, which was only just conceived, was possessed by evil, and so it has taken on the nature of a demon. It is a cursed child. Guts impregnated Casca with his massive hunk of flesh, only for Griffith to come along and inject his own demon sperm and taint the baby's physical form. While being mostly an enigma, the demon child almost exclusively shows up at night, or in a shadowy area to avoid the sun. Now, in the way that Mira conceived the story, the demon baby first showed up in Guts' dream, eliciting shock and fear. It would later show up in an alley after the Black Swordsman refused to help Vargas. It would then show up several times in the Conviction arc. Despite its inability to communicate, the demon child was shown to possess intelligence. In fact, it demonstrated a kindred bond with its parents, Guts and Casca, and made attempts to provide protection to Casca and give warnings to Guts, even though it didn't seem like it at the time. But if you go back in the chapters, it becomes a lot more obvious. For example, the incident with the flaming children saw the demon child within the fire, giving Guts the clue that flaming children were coming. However, the way that he saw it, he thought that the demon child was bringing the children towards him. Later on, sensing that events at Albion, the location of the Tower of Conviction, would lead to potential danger for Casca, his mother, the demon child alerted Guts to the impending danger. And later on, he would show up to warn Casca and even provide protection when she was placed in an Iron Maiden. Unfortunately, this immense discharge of energy allowed the egg of the perfect world to swallow his body whole, in preparation for Griffith's rebirth. Now, this was an interesting ritual, because Griffith used the body of the demon child as a host for his new body. And as this process was going on, we saw the demon child morph into a regular infant, healthy and with no deformities, only for it to transform to the point in which it looked like Griffith. Now, this juxtaposition is really interesting when you think about it. On the one hand, we have the grotesque demon child with a pure OD, and the majestic Griffith with his sinister OD due to being femto. This sort of harkens to a quote I once read about Carl Jung. After death on the cross, Christ went into the underworld and became hell. So he took on the form of the Antichrist, the dragon. The image of the Antichrist announces the new God. It seems to suggest that Christ, even though he's a being of pure goodness, must go through a phase of darkness to balance it out, to bring things to equilibrium. Now, I've talked a lot about the Bible on this channel, and to make my position clear, I see the Bible like a lot of mythologies. It's a useful roadmap to the human psychology. The stories are able to express challenges and life experiences in a way that prosaic, technical language cannot. And in a lot of ways, Berserk is kind of like a modern-day Bible. Even though it's dark fantasy, we can learn from the experiences of Guts, Casca, and Griffith and apply it to our own lives. We can see the downfall of Griffith and being too quote-unquote good and altruistic, illuminating the pitfalls of avoiding the other half of our psychology, the animalistic, darker half. And I think this combination of the Moonlight Boy and Griffith kind of exemplifies that fact, that we need to bring those together as human beings. Now, moving on, due to sharing a vessel with Griffith, the demon child would now have access to his new form. However, it would be as the Moonlight Boy. Due to the particularly strong OD on full moons, his spiritual energy transforms Griffith's body into a small child with dark hair. Like the demon child, the Moonlight Boy is mute and appears to protect his parents, Guts and Casca. When the boy first meets with Casca on the beach, the two form a close bond with one another, with Casca's maternal instinct kicking in quite quickly. Now, while the boy is mostly shy, he does show a playful side on several occasions. For example, after the fight with the sea god, the luminous body of the boy was seen playing, and Guts even questions why he's playing in such a situation. And I quote, "Why are you frolicking around? You're like some playful kid." Speaking of the boy's luminous form, it's particularly powerful. Shirka, who is considered one of the strongest witches in the series, could not enter Guts' armor when he was losing control on the island of the sea god. However, the luminous body of the boy was able to bring Guts to his proper state of mind, allowing him to fight the armor's dark influence. Now, according to Gedfring, when he was talking to Shirka, he said, "Beyond the spirits native to the natural world, there is a deeper realm. Would you have interest in mingling minds with the daemon? The daemon do not belong solely to the hereafter. In life, they were human, heroes and sorcerers among them. We even find out that Danen, Shirka's teacher, exists as one of these beings." As a point of clarification, daemons are not demons. In Greek mythology, they were considered minor gods. This could be like the juxtaposition to the apostles. Apostles are beings who gave in to their lust for power, whereas demons lived altruistic lives and tried to protect those around them. Because Griffith is the highest form of apostle, i.e. a God Hand member, it may suggest that there is an inverse God Hand. I mean, if you think about it, God has two hands, right? One that holds the devil and one that holds Christ. A good and a bad. We saw the bad God Hand with Void, Slan, Ubik, Conrad, and Femto, but what if there's a good God Hand as well? Now, of course, this is a lot of speculation on my part, but the important point that I want to get across to you is that when everyone dies in Berserk, it seems like they go in one of two directions. They either become an apostle or an evil spirit, or for the very few, a God Hand member, or if they live for others and are altruistic, they seem to become a daemon, or possibly a lesser form, an elf, like Puck or Ivalera. We saw what happened to Vargas in the Black Swordsman arc. Even though he seemed like a good guy and he had many wrong things done to him by the Count, he held a grudge against him and was very vindictive. Hence the reason he was seen in the swirling mass of evil souls. So I would think that Puck and Ivalera were human at some point and they became elves after death. And of course, we've already seen that Flora is a daemon. And of course, when you break this down to a deeper level, when you think about that quote I talked about with Carl Jung, you got Christ, the Moonlight Boy, and Griffith, the devil, housed in the same physical body. You almost have the perfect union. However, their souls seem to be separate. It seems like they can sort of view each other's experiences, but they're not one being. I almost wonder if there would be a point in the series in which maybe Mira was thinking about combining their spirits into something completely different, something that would balance good and evil and would sort of restore order to the world. Because as we left the manga, it was definitely untenable. And of course, another untenable relationship was between Guts and his Beast of Darkness. Would he be able to bring together those two contrasting spirits, or would they split apart? Which is what I think happened to the Skull Knight between him and Zod, because I believe they were King Geisric at one point, but unfortunately, it created a fissure within their personality, within their psyche. So as the readers, we want Guts to learn from that mistake and sort of find a way in which he could harmonize those two contrasting spirits and sort of bring peace and order to the world. Of course, these are all just kind of ideas I'm throwing around in my head. It's not like I'm staking my life on them, but it's just kind of interesting ideas to sort of think about here and there and sort of wonder where Miro was potentially going with the story. But tell me what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.